Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video, but she will be back. We're going to talk about celebrities being uncanceled. They're no longer canceled. We're going to talk about Jon Stewart. We're going to talk about Shane Gillis. We're going to talk about J.K. Rowling and how it seems like everything is kind of going back to normal, right? Like what is going on here? And I think a lot of it has to do with the fed up middle, as they call it. About 80% of the population, there was a study done a couple of years ago, said that they are fed up with extremism on both sides of the aisle. And we've got like 80% of normal people are like, can we just have things go back to normal and stop the cancel culture crap and the overly political crap? Thank you very much. And it's interesting because a couple of years ago, most of these people would have been canceled for any infraction. In fact, Shane Gillis was fired from SNL as soon as he was announced because terminally online people went to his, I think it was his podcast, and they found a couple of things that he said, and they clipped it, and then they sent it to SNL and said, how dare you work with this bigot? Well, fast forward to 2024, and this guy's hosting SNL. Whether or not it was successful is a whole nother, conversation we could have. But Netflix just ordered his show to get picked up. And this is the same Netflix that went to bat for Dave Chappelle, the same Netflix that went to bat for Ricky Gervais. So he's definitely not canceled. I don't think they're afraid of working with canceled people. And, likewise, Warner Brothers is doubling down on their support of J.K. Rowling, even though she's out on Twitter pretty much every day. Whacking the beehive, but she makes a lot of money, and I think that's really what is going to change things. Is what kind of audience do you have? The bigger you are, the harder you are to cancel. If you make a company a lot of money and you obviously have a lot of support, it's harder to cancel you. It's also the reason that you're canceled. Were you canceled because you made a joke? Were you canceled because you maybe didn't toe the party line in the case of Jon Stewart? Or were you canceled because you got busted having underage relations or something like that? You know what I'm saying? So there's a big difference in why people are getting canceled, but I don't think it's working as well as it was anymore. In fact, I had a friend send me a link earlier to Brianna Wu, who seems to be having this awakening now. Brianna Wu is actually talking to more conservative voices. I think it's Blair White. I think Brianna Wu's talking to Blair White or something like that. So I think they're starting to realize that their side is not necessarily the good guys. We're seeing this a lot in comic books too. The comic book industry for 4 or 5 years, if you did not toe the line, if you were critical of the comic book industry or people working in the comic book industry at all, you would be blacklisted from working on most titles from most publishers. You'd be kind of quietly driven out of the industry, sometimes loudly driven out of the industry. And then you'd have a bunch of people jumping on the Twitter and claiming you're a racist, a bigot, a misogynist, whatever. You just wouldn't get phone calls anymore. So you had a bunch of people throwing their peers under the wheels of the bus to make sure that they could save work for themselves. It really was a very sad, pathetic situation. Then we had the Mark Miller debacle late last year, where he went to the defense of a retailer and he called these people cancel pigs. And then all of a sudden, as if by magic, like a lot of this nonsense stopped. And I think going into 2024, I think people on the left realize that their party's not very popular right now. Right. And it's not even necessarily the policy. The policies are objectively, I think, unpopular. Right. But it's also the culture. It's the cancel culture, the constant outrage, being perpetually offended by everything, and canceling people's careers for really nonsensical reasons. So let's talk about this, guys. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. If you're looking for audio versions of Clownfish TV, we got them. Go out to Spotify, go out to Amazon, go out to iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, you will find us out there. And you can listen to audio versions. We've also got original podcasts coming back. Pirates and Princesses is coming back. Derezzed which is a series of interviews and more in-depth conversations with people that help create entertainment and tech and people who are interested in the paranormal and all kinds of crazy stuff. That is coming back as well. So go out and make sure that you're subscribed, please. This is coming from Deadline. We're going to talk about Jon Stewart first. And remember, he came back, what was it, last week, the week before? And people were angry because he criticized Biden's age. This is the same Jon Stewart that made jokes about the Wuhan lab being the origin point for COVID. You know, he's like, well, geez, where did this virus come from? Could it be the Wuhan COVID lab that has a big sign on the door that says Wuhan COVID lab? Maybe that's where it came from. He got all kinds of crap for that. Same with Bill Maher. Bill Maher got all kinds of crap because he questioned the vaccines, and Bill Maher, now they're calling him like alt-right. I'm like, no, Bill Maher, you loved Bill Maher in the 90s. I don't think Bill Maher has changed very much. I don't think Jon Stewart's changed very much. I just think everybody else has gotten freaking weird in their expectations of people, working in binary and towing the party line. I think that's the difference. Like, you're not allowed to have your own opinion. You know, you're not allowed to agree 85%, maybe 15% you disagree. You have to agree 100% with whatever the party expects you to agree with. And I do see this on the right too. Not to the extent that I see it on the left, but you got to agree with whatever the party line is peddling, right? So this is coming from Deadline. We'll talk about Jon Stewart and we'll talk about these other guys. The Daily Show with Jon Stewart is adding viewers in its second week. It actually went up 48%. They said the late night show recorded 1.3 million viewers for Stewart's second episode on Monday night. This was up from 930,000 in his first week. It marks the most watched daily show since he left in 2015, beating all overnight ratings for Trevor Noah's run as host. Nobody liked Trevor Noah. It comes after Stewart's first episode back hit 3 million viewers with the live plus 3-day numbers. This sounds like the BBC, including simulcasts on other Paramount networks. Stewart was followed this week by Desi Liddick, who took on the chair last night. They're talking about Nikki Haley. They're talking about Trump, yada, yada, yada. And Trump's golden sneakers, which that was the subject of a skit on Saturday Night Live that Shane Gillis hosted. So let's talk about this a little bit because it's funny. They thought they could cancel him. They're like, oh, he's not going to toe the party line. How dare he? How dare he make fun of Biden and Biden's age? Remember, Robin Williams made fun of Biden and Biden's age and his mental faculties, and that was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And he had a skit where he's talking about Joe Biden not knowing where he was at, and Joe Biden was only like 70 then. But I love these responses. Linda, he may have added Trumpers to his viewership, but I bet he lost a lot of democracy-loving Democrats and independents. I stopped watching. Yeah, I don't know. He had a lot of people. I think it's because of the backlash. I think people are like, wait a second, Jon Stewart is calling out his own side. Oh my God, we need more people that call out their own side. We need more people that have their own opinions about things. Brad says, I consider myself very liberal. I found Jon's first show a masterpiece. People are too afraid of standing up and asking questions that contradict their party's narratives. Thank you. I think Jon added independents, moderates, and lost the fringes of both parties. Thank you, Brad. I think that's exactly what happened. Ben says because he has the nerve to point out that Biden is old. Anonymous, what a ridiculous comment. Anonymous also says, I know, right? Me says, what a ridiculous comment. So that's what they're mad about. They were expecting this to be the second coming of the Jon Stewart that they remember in their minds, or I guess an idealized version of Jon Stewart. But I don't think Jon Stewart's changed very much. I really don't think he has. I think he's still the same person he was. It's just everybody else moved further left, so they expected him to move with them. And when he didn't, they were massively disappointed. But that's okay. He brought a bunch of viewers with him. So Netflix, man, Shane Gillis is just winning. He got fired from Saturday Night Live. A couple years later, they call him back to be the host because his podcast, I guess, is doing very, very well. His comedy specials are doing well. And now Netflix is ordering a scripted series based on his YouTube pilot Tires. The comedian's new Netflix deal includes his first scripted show and another stand-up special. So he gets 6 episodes of Tires. That's like 3 whole Netflix seasons, which is based on a pilot concept he previously posted on YouTube. The setup, Will, the nervous and unqualified heir to an auto repair chain, attempts to turn his father's business around despite constant torture from his cousin and now employee Shane Gillis. So he's going to be an executive producer on this, writer and co-creator of the show. Again, this is what the people that try to cancel him, this is what they all want. They all want that Netflix deal. And the people getting the Netflix deals, a lot of them, the most popular people, are the ones that were canceled. The Dave Chappelles and the Ricky Gervaises and the Shane Gillises. This is kind of funny. I think it's kind of beautiful, actually. So, in addition, Netflix has ordered another stand-up special from Gillis. His 2023 special, Beautiful Dogs, reached the Netflix top 10 in 5 countries and spent 2 weeks in the top 10 in the U.S. Gillis will also perform 2 live shows in the second annual Netflix is a Joke Comedy Festival in May. Be careful, Shane. The last time that happened, or a couple of years ago, Dave Chappelle got attacked at that show by a crazy person. It was not good. But yeah, the news follows Gillis is hosting Saturday Night Live this weekend, which represented a return to the late night sketch series following his firing from the show in 2019, which he referenced in the monologue, joking, "If you don't know who I am, please don't Google it." Gillis also made headlines recently by landing a high-profile sponsorship deal with the beleaguered beer brand Bud Light. This is the Hollywood Reporter pointing out that Bud Light was in big trouble. I thought this was just a very vocal minority of loud conservatives. Now, we didn't cover the Bud Light thing because I think Bud Light is horse piss. I think it's like the worst beer ever made. It's terrible. It's awful. I hate it. I don't care who's on the can. I don't like Bud Light. I'm a snob. My beer has to come from a bottle. It has to come from the tap. It's brewed in small batches and it tastes good and it doesn't taste like horse piss, but that's okay. So no, we didn't cover Bud Light. I didn't really give a shit. The market self-corrected. People didn't give a shit. They were very angry about Bud doubling down on things. And maybe it was blown way out of proportion with the Dylan Mulvaney thing. But I do know that Dylan Mulvaney is not very popular in the real world because I think Penn State hosted Dylan and they did not get many people there. People were posting videos of it, and Penn State, relatively progressive for the part of the state that it's in, the campus is, and very few people showed up for this thing. And I think it was free, so nobody gives a shit about Dylan Mulvaney. But then to replace Dylan Mulvaney with Shane Gillis, somebody who was canceled like 4 or 5 years ago, that is a kick in the balls. If you still got balls, that is a major kick in the balls. So we're going to talk about J.K. Rowling now. Also uncanceled, Hogwarts Legacy, highest selling game of 2023. They're building another Wizarding World area in Epic Universe at Universal Theme Parks. And she's selling a lot of books. But hey, be careful, guys. Be careful. Some salty librarians with flags in their bios are going to stick it to J.K. Rowling. But they do have a new show coming out on HBO. And I think this is her way of I can't see her protecting Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson after what they did personally. Like, freaking let the Dementors have them. But they're doing this new show. David Zaslav keeps singing her praises. She's going to make a lot of money. But again, the salty librarians in Portland are angry. This is coming from Outkick. J.K. Rowling handles online troll in masterful fashion. So this is Sam, he, him. J.K. Rowling has to slop out a novel every 18 months because if she doesn't, the entire world will forget who Robert Galbraith is. Nobody will buy those poorly written, predictable books. That's right. She writes under a male pen name for her. I think she does like murder mysteries or something, psychological thrillers. I don't know. This is Screeching Medusa, #Free Palestine, rainbow in the bio. I would like J.K. Rowling to know that I work at a bookstore and I make sure to spine out her god-awful books as much as possible rather than front-face them out. We don't promote transphobic and ableist trash while my queer ass is around. J.K. Rowling says, that's it. My career's over then. That was the perfect response, said Outkick. The idea a random bookstore worker is going to impact Rowling's life by hiding her books is hilarious. Her net worth isn't concrete, but multiple sources say it's about $1 billion. I think she's worth more than that, actually. I really do think she's worth more than that. She's also going to get another healthy payment once the HBO series comes out. She got paid big time. She got paid bigly, hugely from Broadway, which I forgot that The Cursed Child is on Broadway. Again, they're opening another land. Hogwarts Legacy made her, I'm sure tens of millions of dollars at least. They sold 23 million copies. It was the highest selling game of the year. She is not canceled. But go ahead, random bookstore owner, get J.K. Rowling canceled. You go ahead and do that. These are the same people that are like, well, we're going to get her books and we're going to take her name off the cover. I mean, again, this is another misguided attempt to cancel a woman who can't be canceled unless she murders puppies on live TV or something. You're not going to be able to get rid of her. And actually what is happening, and this is the side effect of this, what is happening is that the more people try to cancel these quote unquote problematic personalities, the more support they garner. And it happens time and time again because people think these activists are ridiculous. Even if you had a point, even if you don't like what she says, the fact that we had people out there trying to harass and dox and threaten people that were playing the Hogwarts Legacy video game. We had just all kinds of threats against people who supported anything Harry Potter in any way. You just put money in her pocket because people are tired of this. They're tired of it. Everything is changing. People are going to look at cancel culture and the hipsters, the hipster activists that participate in cancel culture as favorably as crusty ass hippies were looked at in the mid 1980s. That's where things are headed. You're going to become a parody. You're going to be a laughing stock. Everybody is going to move on except for you. And if there's some purple-haired activist trying to cancel somebody over something they said on Twitter in a year or two, they're going to point at them and laugh and be like, God, you are a relic from another time. You're absolutely a relic from another time. You are a parody. So let's wrap this one up, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.